these misperceptions are there because a very low number of millennials really are in contact with, I don't know, 50 or 60 plus outside of their family. So, and this is why, because of this missing intergenerational communication, this is why these perceptions exist.
Welcome to episode 28 of The Wendi Cooper Show, Speaking of Age. I'm your host, Wendi Cooper, and typically we have conversations with remarkable people over 50, but today we have a remarkable person, 31, who is just got it all going on. So Carina Roth is the co-founder of WisR. It is a tech startup platform, HR platform. They are in Austria and Germany. Carina explains to us why. She explains how she got into this after being in commodities, and at 31 years old is trying to shape the future for generations to come so that we all can and become and grow wiser. So without further ado, we're going to jump in where Carina is telling me all about herself. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Well, my background is quite different. So what we're doing, it's an HR tech startup, but I actually come from finances. So I do have academic business background, but my first job after university, so I'm now 31, was basically in commodities trading in Switzerland, where I studied. So I did have an impact, but rather not such a positive one. And after being with this company for 3 years, I just felt like that this was not the place where I wanted to stay for the rest of my life. This kind of typical thing when you start thinking about, is this what I'm doing today on a daily basis, something I can imagine doing for a quite long time? And I was answering this question with a no, which is why I also quit my job and then actually started looking for business ideas. So I do come from a family of entrepreneurs and founders. So this idea was always a bit in my head, but I never came up with an idea. So this is when I started looking into other people's ideas and to see if I could jump on board either as a founder, a co-founder, or as an employee of the first hour. So I started off with my search in Switzerland and continued in Austria as well, and spoke with about 15 different founders of the various kinds of startups in all kinds of different industries. And then I met Claudia, who was actually the first impact founder who wanted to not just do something new and innovative, but even have a positive impact on society. So when she told me with her one pitch sentence that she wanted to create a platform where retired people can again find project-based and part-time work, this is when it hit me. And in the evening, I just went to bed and I was like, okay, this is it. Tomorrow I have to text her. We have to go for coffee. And the reason why was that this idea about WisR is not just another tool that is nice to have, but actually solves a societal issue. And only those, in my belief, represent a really sustainable model or business model. And this is why I joined her.
Yeah. I think that, I told you a little bit about, what I'm 64. So I admire what you're doing and Claudia, because you're thinking yeah, you're seeing a problem that exists around the world, I'm sure, because it is serious here in the United States. It's super serious. We don't really have anything like WisR here. There
Yeah.
are some platforms that I'm finding. There's one called encore.org, and there's they do certain things. But what I find here that's different from what you do at WisR is that typically you're sent you number one, let me just back up. Number one, at 55, 65, 70 years old, if you're looking to find a job or a gig, we will call it a gig for a gig economy. I don't know, man, I call it that because I come from the creative world. But the last thing that you want to do is you want to go onto a platform that then fill this out, and then it sends you to another one and sends you to another one. Then at the end of the day, you're really just ending up at the same job boards and the same, right? Same places that everything else is going to send you to. And it's very, very frustrating. What I believe, and I'm not sure because I did try to set up a profile on growwiser.com. It's a little bit there, but I'm not over in Europe, so I can't really do that. But what I think I admire about yours is that it's all encompassing. It's all in one place, right? You're not just getting a lead, getting somebody to come, go to your platform, and then kind of like sending them off into the world of job boards. And I think that that's extremely important for, especially for people of age, because the easier you make something for them, the easier you make something for anyone, the more someone is going to engage with it and enjoy it. And I think that's really what you guys have done very well on growwiser.com.
Thank you.
Is you've made it easy.
That's very nice. Yeah, I also have some good news. Over the summer months, and it's just being released this week, we also made it multi-language. So it's not only available in German anymore. This is, of course, why we started in our home market. But it is also available in English now. So maybe you can try again setting up a profile and give us some feedback.
Because my IP address, I think, is in the United States, I did do a little profile. But then when I wanted to go deeper, it's for jobs basically in Europe. So it's like, but what would be cool though, Carina, is that, hey, I'll take a job in Europe. You know what I mean? I mean, I might be in the US, but I'll take a job over there.
This is actually what we have been looking into right from the beginning, because there are some use cases where people really go abroad in their retirement. So, for example, we know that there are so in the automotive sector, it's quite common that Japanese retired industry experts go to China in their retirement and work for automotive companies there, just because you need a purpose also after retirement. And if you don't find something in your home market, you are happy to maybe go abroad for some projects.
Unless I pair up, which I'm trying to do, with and become intergenerational in what I have to offer. Like maybe my video team is millennials, right? But yet I'm the creative director or the creative. So I'm putting together that kind of synergy so that I'm offering clients a more intergenerational point of view at what it is
I
that
think it's a good one. Actually, this is the same that we are also struggling with as a young team, So also to be taken serious in the market, especially when it comes to sales. So what we experience that often you have these young founding teams of startups in their early, mid, and 20s, and then you go and try to sell to corporates. And then you're 20-year-old.
And you know what they do?
And so they are used to having much more experienced salespeople as well. So this is actually one of the use cases, we also try to bring closer to startup founders, to also, even if they're a young founding team, to also try to look for very experienced ones to make their team also a bit more intergenerational, to learn from them.
But you have to really start thinking about the people who aren't retired and are getting aged out of their positions because of this societal ageism that is happening and these 20-year increased lifespans that kind of create like this weird vortex of, so what is the future really going to look like? It is in 9 years. So if we don't act together to fix it, to fix really what's happening, wisdom is a beautiful thing. There is no reason why you should just not let it in the room, right?
Actually, yeah, so we started off with this platform for retirees, but it turned out that people signing up on the platform are a bit younger, and they also sign up usually 2 to 3 years earlier. So, for example, our legal retirement age in Austria is quite low. So it's between 60 and 65, so for men and women. And our average sign-up age at the moment is 63. But what we are more using is less the word retired person as well. So we try to use terms that keep it open also for people earlier than that. So we have been thinking about proper terms, and we have been starting off with silver ager or best ager, and we went to senior expert and senior talent. So maybe you can give us some input.
Speak to us like we're cool and we're thriving and we have a lot to offer, and life doesn't, there's no such thing as retirement anymore, right? Retirement is for the birds. It's not for, especially here in the US at 65, nobody just retires. Nobody just retires. We don't have, unless you come from the corporate world and you have this awesome pension or 401k or whatever, then great. But still, even then, 65 is so young. It's so young, especially when you think about it. Like, you're going to live to be 100. You realize that, right? Statistically.
Probably, yeah.
I think that it's really important to speak to us to how we feel as opposed to how we're looked at.
Actually, content is quite important for us as well. So we see that, for example, to break this kind of typical stereotypes that actually are just stereotypes. And we've been looking into also why these stereotypes exist. So not sure if it's the same in the US, but for example, here it turned out that these misperceptions are there because a very low number of millennials really are in contact with, I don't know, 50 or 60 plus outside of their family, So, and this is why, because of this missing intergenerational communication, this is why these perceptions exist. And this is why we took it as one of our duties to create content and tell stories, and also tell of, for example, our successful matches. So when we have matches, we try to interview both sides together and visit them as well when they're working and telling these stories, to give people ideas, not just people, but also companies, on how this can work out. So if it would have been a self-explanatory platform that we create without solving a problem, awareness raising is not something important. But since we have to overpass these stereotypes, these existing misperceptions of each other, communication and content is one of the biggest tasks that we actually have to do.
I love what you just said about the researching the stereotypes and what creates that, because unless we find the heart of the problem, we can't solve it.
Also, again, now that you're saying this, I had I had no idea that it's just extreme or on your side. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that now this bubble is created, and probably the reason why you do not have such a platform yet in the United States, or this kind of innovation for this target group is not coming out of Silicon Valley this time, is because
they don't get it.
They are millennials, and they are creating products and services for millennials.
That's right.
And not for the target group of actually the growing target group.
It's huge. It's 60 million
because
people.
We are becoming older and older. Actually, for example, in Germany, almost 1/3 of the entire population is retired. This is the biggest group.
Well, that's how it is. That's how it is here, Carina. Every minute, 13 people turn 60 years old. Every minute. You know.
Yeah, actually, what we are also trying to pass on to our clients, so I'm talking about the company clients, is that not only people and their employees are getting older, but also their clients. Yeah. And if you leave out this customer group, this is also lost business, you know. So, of course, this is not just an impact question, but it's actually also a business question. So, and if you might not get to companies with the impact argument, you certainly will when they see that their client base that they're actually targeting now is shrinking, and they might leave out on the bigger one. But we see that many big brands now also start recognizing this. So I don't know if you saw it, but basically even very big brands in fashion industry, they finally realized that not everybody wants to see only younger models anymore, but also more representative ones.
I've discovered, and I think that the disconnect is that there's a certain segment of us that are between, let's say, 55 and 65, 70, and I'm still stuck on that we're still so young. We're too old to be young. We're too young to be old, right? And we still want to be spoken to by marketers or by brands. We still want to be really recognized as vibrant, beautiful, healthy, because we are, right? We're living these amazing lives. Although we might be broke, we're still living an amazing life that our fathers or our grandfathers at 65, they were, well, I got 3 years before I'm dead. And there's just a lot of changes, societal changes going on. So there are companies that are out there that are really trying to still focus or hone in on that demographic or that demographic of age, right? But they still are having a little bit of a problem speaking to them correctly, because what happens is they still put the silver wigs on everybody, right? Or the cardigan sweater thrown over the shoulders, and it's not the hip, cool guy that I think you guys do actually a pretty good job with the assets that you have on growwiser.com to represent. Why I wanted to have you and interview you or have this conversation with you is because we need to come together, not literally, but that would be nice. We need to come together to solve this huge problem, because it's our responsibility.
This is amazing.
To find a solution for future generations.
Yeah, actually, because we started, for example, off in Austria. So it is a marketplace. So we even went city by city, and we already see differences, between Austria and Germany. So we just started a few months ago in Germany, and there's already different kind of profiles signing up. For example, in our home market, we had about 50-50 split between male and female. And in Germany, we almost have 70% male.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's really fantastic. And also when it comes to the type of jobs that are posted on the platform, on the type of tasks that people are looking to do. This will vary from country to by country. So this is why we will have to
Yeah.
change every time we enter into a new market, because every country has a different social system, or age of retirement, or different poverty percentage. So in Austria, it's still quite low. We have 17% of people, elderly people, are in living in poverty. So this sounds a lot, but compared to other countries, it's pretty low. So this is why in our market, they are quite picky when it comes to what kind of jobs they want to do in retirement. So here it's more like the perception, oh, now I don't have to work anymore. And now I want to work. So I only do the jobs that I really feel like doing, because this is something I always wanted to do. But now when you go to other countries where they have less retirement payments, you already see it's very different kind of picture.
So do you guys have plans on coming here?
I'm sure once...
Or do you have plans on coming to the US?
Oh, we will certainly already. Yeah, we are certainly doing already some tests in the next months.
Good.
So
Good.
We have been waiting to translate it first, but we will be able to do tests.
Let's talk a little bit about how the Grow WisR doc explain, kind of, walk someone through what they would do if they wanted to be on the platform.
Yeah, sure. So for people looking for jobs, projects, or gigs, how you call them, it would be setting up a profile, and it's a marketplace. So people looking for jobs will set up a profile, but also companies set up a profile. And we started off with this platform where companies post either jobs or can actively source through all the profiles that are on the platform. And this is the first part that we started off with. And the second part next to it is also a very interesting one. We call it WisR Connected. And this is more an enterprise solution as well, where companies can keep those people who are retiring, or those employees who are retiring, in their pool, to make sure that this knowledge transfer happens and is not lost when people retire. So you can imagine, especially in this generation, you often have people who, or maybe this is more like in Austria or Germany the case, but in the generation of my parents, for example, it was very common that people stick with one company for 20, 30, even sometimes 40 years, and they build up a lot of know-how that is lost and often not passed on to younger generations inside this company. So we offer them to not only source experienced people outside on the platform, using the platform, but also keep the talent that otherwise would retire in their pool. So it's more a bit of a hybrid. So it is a platform and this business solution, which is currently working together.
So currently, the companies pay to post, but the member does not pay.
Yeah. So this is actually how we started it off. So we did have a pricing model based on the number of job postings that you have online, but we will switch more into a commission-based model, because often it is not full-time positions that are filled. So it's more project-based matches that we create. And so a commission-based model is, just a more proper fit to what we have learned. So now the companies that we have on the platform are definitely the first movers. And I'm curious to see how long it will take as well in the US, because basically the problem that we see here now just starting, and US is supposed to be 7 years in advance, is the retirement waves of the baby boomer generation. But since you said it, in the US, people are not retiring, technically.
People aren't retiring here.
you don't feel it this way. But for example, back home here, they do feel it because you just have less people on the job market, and you don't have enough millennials coming after those retirees. So you have to reactivate as well the retirees. But the more and more this happens, the more and more people will get used to this intergenerational work. And once you tell those stories, also other companies will jump on board. So it's always, we're just at the beginning. And those clients that we have now are definitely first movers and early adopters. But as you see with all trends, it will pass on and pass on. But we do know of some very big US corporates that dedicated and committed themselves to hiring tens of thousands of, actually even I think McDonald's. It was McDonald's.
Yeah, I know, but who wants to work at McDonald's, Carina? You know, and who wants to be the greeter at Walmart? You know, I mean, if these are the jobs that are there for us as we go into retirement, no, thank you. These are these.
It will need brands showing commitment in order to also, create some waves for others to follow.
What should happen is that, and this is my thing, is that take this 55 to 65, 70 person and start looking at them differently. They are not a senior. They are of this crazy wild generation, the Woodstock generation, right? We are the ones that brought in the digital world. Don't look at us like we don't know how to upload a video onto our computers or whatever. For crying out loud, we created the fact that you can actually upload a video onto the internet. I remember when videos were going like this, right? I mean, so they just start looking at us like, hello, we would not be, if everyone could look at us in the eyes that they see Tim Cook, Steve Jobs, all of these people that created this wonderful space, that we live in every day, this digital world that we live in every day, the Bill Gates, whomever, and look at us as a part of that generation. We might not be digital natives, but then again, I think we are digital natives because we have lived in we've lived in an analog world, and then we're still living and growing through this digital world. So why segment us? Why extract that from us? Why think that we're stupid or we lose our wisdom or whatever it is? We grew up with this stuff. We used to use fax machines and send letters in the mail. So now don't tell us about email. We get it. We love it. We use it. We adore it. We worship it because we know what it was like to live in a world where we didn't have it.
But this is why it's important to have women like you on the stage, in the front, to show that actually a 60-year-old person today, it actually has a biological age of a 40-year-old from 100 years ago. And this is a scientific fact.
Yes.
Because when people think of 60 plus in my generation, often the images that they create are much older.
Our grandma.
They don't think of, yes, exactly. They have a picture of a grandmother in their head coming up. But what you actually have to think about is, yes, as you say, cool, hip 60-year-olds who have an Apple phone,
yes,
are using WhatsApp, are booking their flights online and paying with Apple Cash or Apple Pay.
They're doing the same things that you guys are doing.
Exactly. So
I mean, how do we change and shift the thinking of people? And this is the problem, and this is the job that we have, and this is what I really like to talk about. I think you're on that road to doing that, but because your culture in Austria and Germany right now, it's very different. Like, it almost sounds like it's opposite, right? It almost sounds like it's opposite because you have not enough millennials to take the place of the retired people, right? Well, we have too many
It's
millennials.
starting. It is starting. Yes.
You know.
So everybody is trying to recruit millennials, but they're not enough.
Yeah.
And they just start very, very slowly to think about other target groups, but only because they're pressured.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wonder if that will happen here. Our problem is that we have so many people retiring, or so many people of a certain age that are forced. I need to rephrase that. Forced into retirement. They don't want to retire. They don't have enough money to retire. Our Social Security is very different than any of the pensions that you have over there. We don't have socialized medicine. We have certain concerns about health care and the cost of health care. It's crazy, the cost of health care here. And then what you do about that. But that's why it's a very, 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 very interesting topic. I so adore what you're doing there. I hope it can transition to where it can, we can find a way to make that work over here, because people are really suffering here.
Yeah.
People are really
It will
suffering.
definitely work in a different way.
Yeah.
But this is why I always say we will start with tests.
Yeah.
Because it will definitely look differently. The matches that we create will be different. The companies that we talk to will have to be different. So yeah, we are very curious.
Yeah.
But very excited.
Well, I think that I love what you're doing. Anything that I can do to help, you just let me know.
Yes, we will.
It's really a passion for me, because because it affects my life. I'll be honest, it truly affects my life. And it's affecting a lot of people that I know, and unfairly, extremely unfairly. But it's a wonderful thing that you're doing, and if there's anybody, I think that it's really there's a lot of virtue in the investors that came in and are supporting you, because they get it. They really see that there's a problem and it needs to be solved, and that's what it takes.
Yeah. Actually, we have been very lucky with our investors so far.
Yeah.
So until now, we only have people on board for whom it really was like a hell year. And it's good when you have people supporting you who you don't have to explain the problem to, who understand it right away.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is when you know that it is a good fit.
Well, I think you are on the beginning. You are the perfect example of coming together intergenerationally, because at 31 years old, you are a millennial, and you are thinking socially and of the problems of the future, and you're not waiting for them to happen, but you're trying to find a solution for something that is really inevitable. And I really honor you for that, and I thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I think it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. And I was so honored to be in your podcast.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
I want to tell everyone.
Well, anyway, thanks for being here, Carina.
Thank you, Wendi, for having me. And if you happen to really come to Italy one day again, please make sure to pass by Vienna.
I will. We are definitely going to do that. All right.
Cool.
So I know it's nighttime there. I won't keep you any longer, but thank you so much.
Don't worry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's a wrap for another great episode of The Wendi Cooper Show. Speaking of age, my guest today was Carina Roth from WisR, or growwisr.com. You can find all of the information in the show notes. I do appreciate that you took the time to listen. I am so full of gratitude for those of you who do spend that time with me and my topics on the podcast. Believe me, it does mean a lot to me. So if you have a chance, make sure to subscribe. But until next time, I do thank you with all my heart for listening.